Well, it's day 3. We didn't really work on it that much today because we needed more parts. So we got these bolts new, I don't know, a while ago because they were broke when we took them off. But we just decided we're going to put all new bolts in. So because there's just so much shit and rust in the threads, we're just going to get all new ones. So we need, every single row needs 4 of these bolts. And we only had 6 of these, so we need 18 more of those. They're just so rusty that it turns hard the whole way, but the new ones just go right in. We'll just get new bolts for it. That way, whenever we take it apart in the future, it'll be hopefully less rusty. Otherwise, we got the Kalmar parts today. This is your, was it 5-tooth sprocket, and this is a 9 or something like that. I have to look in the book. It essentially just gears it down to slow these gathering chains down. Here's 2 brand new ones. Yeah, 2 brand new ones. We got more for every row. So basically 2 new sprockets, new bolts, new deck plates, new gathering chain on every row unit. So this gap isn't set right. So you can see that beveled edge. It's supposed to have less head shell, I guess. So yep, we got to get that gap set right. You can see these are still loose in here. So it's day 4, but I know my camera stopped filming the other day. I don't know, yesterday, which was day 3, I think. It ain't necessarily a head, but we got the chopper rolled back on the combine, got the fins on. We got all the sieves set for corn in the back. We got the pin pulled over here for the cylinder speed, so we can get that slowed down. So we got that part done on the combine yesterday. I think today's day 4. And mind you, we aren't working on it all day, just, you know, the afternoon, 3-4 hours. We ain't working on it from sun up to sundown. So since the 3 row units are at Deere getting fixed, we'll get them tomorrow morning, put them on here. They had to order some parts, so that's why. Put them on and we'll get these all done. We got 3 row units done with new parts, new gathering chain sprockets. So this is that 9-tooth sprocket, and this is the 6. It's supposed to gear them down to go slower. And then we bought all these parts, by the way. Kalmar deck plates. So once you get past them screws, when that stock gets imploded down here, it's beveled, so it kind of fits the edge of the ear better. In theory, it's supposed to make the blow less, which means you'll get less head shell. We got them set for 1 1/8 inch and then 1 3/16 inch up here as they recommend. It's hard to get them centered on there. I don't know how you guys do it. Maybe there's not a special way, but I think we got them reasonably close to centered on all of them. So then they have you put a washer here, and then you're supposed to show 2 spring wires. Of course, this one only shows 1 right now, but we have to loosen that up just a hair. And then that's what the book says, if I understand it right. Then we got all new bolts here and here. The other ones were rusted to crap. So yeah, we also got some new ear shavers we're going to put on the snoots that have the cobble job from the previous owner, like here, cobble job. So this head will be pretty good when we're done with it. I don't know how the conditions of the rolls are, but we're not putting them on this year. Maybe in a couple years we'll get the Kalmar rolls put on here, but this year that's just not gonna happen. So yeah, well, tomorrow we're gonna get them last 3 row units, and hopefully I can film us actually getting them on the combine, because before, when I took them off, I ran out of memory on the phone and I wasn't gonna jump off the skid to delete stuff, even though I don't know if this camera worked or not, but we got the other 3 row units on. They're impact tightened. They're not fully tightened. We're gonna stick them shafts through, get them all lined up before we really crank down on them. So basically have to line up all these hexes on 3 row units. There you go, got both shafts stuck in. Now for the bearings. Well, we got the bearings in silicone. That was kind of a pain in the ass to line up. We got the auger chain on, tightened up. We got both side chains on, tightened up. We got all the row units tightened up on the frame. We got the snoot holders, which you got to line up through that shield, a plate underneath, through the row unit itself, and the floor. You got to line up like 4 things in one. There's 4 bolts on each of those, and then underneath you tighten them. We got all these front things on that hold the snoots up off the ground on. There's 4 bolts there, 2 and 2, and everything's tightened up. So we're ready to start putting the rest of the stuff on the last 3 rows. Here's the stuff over here. Got this chain tightened up too. That easy. Well, we got another row unit done. We're gonna head out and eat lunch. But so it's 1 1/8 inch up front, 1 5/16 inch in the back, and we got the gap, I'd say, within 1/16 of an inch, pretty close. But I say we're within 1/8 of an inch to being in the center. It's hard to center them on that row, them rolls. I'm sure there's some special way people know how to do it. I saw on the Ag Talk forum, people, they get a 2x4 and they rip it down the center with a table saw. But A, we don't have a table saw, and B, I don't know how. You have to be really good to get it 1 1/8 on one end and taper it into 1 3/16 inches that you can stick it right in there. So that's how people do that. That way they get the gap right. But you know, I think we got it fairly close. Within 1/8 of an inch of the center. I don't know how people get them centered. We try the best. You know, like this one might be, the hole might be just a little bit to that way, but it's hard to tell. Same as this one, but I don't know. They ain't too hard to adjust if they ain't right, but I think they'll work. I don't know how people get them centered. I'm sure everybody in the comments who has all the experience knows how to, but this is probably a long ass video, but I really don't care. Just kind of showing what the progress we've been doing. Obviously I ain't showing that much work because I got both hands busy and it takes a lot of time. So as you can see, we got all the snoots on. We got all new parts in every single row, and it's chore time, so Dad's heading off to do chores. I'm gonna do a couple little minor things, like when you take them row units off, you can see, maybe you can't, these holes for these clips don't line up right. So there's 2 bolts, and you can adjust the snoot holes to make them fall down in there. There's 2 rows that weren't right. They're just, you know, 1/2 to 1/4 inch off. But yeah. Other than that, there's other thing. I've always noticed these snoots. Some sit up higher than the other. Well, I was always too stupid to look what the adjustment pins are like. So tomorrow we should get done with this corn head. We got a couple other things to put on. All these shields here, there's 3, and there's another one that fell off last harvest we got to get put on. And they go right here to block this shaft with all them slip clutches in it. Stuff don't wrap. That has to get in. And then these roll-a-cone end snoot, or end augers, need to go up in there and get the hydraulic motor attached. One of those were broken last fall, so the key fell out on the hydraulic motor, but we didn't fix it. We'll have to get that all snuffed. And then All we got to do is silicone these oil baths back on, and then let it dry and fill them with oil. And I think we'll be pretty much done with this corn head. So obviously hook up the drive line on there. But this corn head will be pretty up snuff. Everything real new except the rolls, but the rolls got some life left in them. So they aren't exactly the cheapest things or the easiest to replace. Then whenever you get a bean head with the dial-o-matic, we'll get these auto header height set up, but that won't be for a while yet, years. And then this will be a real nice corn head actually. But yeah, man, a lot of work, but it's worth it. So here we are. We started this project on Tuesday, and it is Sunday, and we finished it this morning. Everything is put back together. Everything, except we gotta put some oil in these oil bath yet. But we're waiting for the silicone to dry up. So that's tomorrow's job, but that's easy as hell. Got hoses hooked up, got the augers on, got the tape chains on, obviously the covers on the oil bath. We even raised this big auger across the top. It was as low as it went, but we raised it up. You can see by them holes. Lifted it all the way up because that's what they recommend. Trying to get the best quality corn we can get, because at 270 corn we need every kernel at the best quality to make any money. So yeah, what else? I think that's it. All new everything, which I've already went through. Combine, I don't know if I said this, we got the chopper rolled back, the fins on. Today I set the concave speed, concave indicator, and fan speed, everything for corn. So all you gotta do is pressure wash the combine and grease it right afterwards, and we're ready to do corn. So, you know, it'll be quite a while yet, as you can tell, but you gotta get started early on this corn head. But everything works. The slowdown kit really slowed down these gathering chains, so hopefully they do good. Just got done pressure wash. It isn't perfect, but it never will be unless I be here all day. I probably pressure wash for an hour and a half, hour. I never pressure washed underneath the two panels because a lot of bearings and stuff in there, and I want water in. You really can't see it from the outside, and it's gonna get dirty again. Maybe there's people who wash inside there, but I did it once, but that's about it. Obviously this side's wet, which makes it look better. There, the back's dry. This side's pretty much dry. It ain't perfect. I could get it a lot better if I scrubbed it by hand, but I don't got that kind of time. So I guess this is the end of the video. Rebuilding. Got everything. There's where we got the parts for the corn head, and I hope they work as advertised, because the stuff we had in here before was wore out and just hauling ass way too fast.